Yeah, thank you all for coming. So when we have an event like this a year from now, as nice as Harlan's operation is, I think we'll be in a place that you'll really like on the SMU campus. Harlan, thank you for your hospitality. It's a pretty good interim step. I want to thank as well Gerald Turner of SMU, president of one of the finest universities in the United States. We at the Bush Center, Paul Ludden as well, who's the provost and vice president, are here with their spouses. We're fortunate to be associated with SMU. Our relationship with SMU has exceeded our expectations. I hope we've exceeded your expectations. We're very much involved in action-oriented programs. And I didn't want to be known as a think tank. I want to be known as an action-oriented place that can make a difference in the world. And so I want to thank you all very much for having faith in us when we first convinced you to support the Bush Center on the SMU campus. Laura and I just got back from Kabwe, Africa, which is in Zambia. We went over there because at the Bush Center, one of our major initiatives is to honor human life. We believe all life is precious, whether they live in America or on the continent of Africa, and we are disturbed by the fact that many women who have got the HIV virus are getting cervical cancer, and not much is being done about it. So with your help, we put together a collaborative effort to save lives. Part of the mission was to kick off the what we call Pink Ribbon, Red Ribbon in Botswana, as well as to follow up in Zambia, where we kicked it off in December. But Laura and I also wanted to go and refurbish a clinic. I wanted the message to be, it didn't matter what your status in life is, you're never too proud to handle a paintbrush. I ended up with more paint on me than the wall. So we went over to a clinic, and I wish you could have seen the faces of the ladies who showed up at this refurbished clinic to be screened for cervical cancer. 158 women have now been screened since we opened it up, 20% of whom had cancerous lesions, most of whom were treated right there at the clinic. The reason I tell you the story is that the Bush Center is involved with saving lives, and therefore you are as well. And I hope it makes your hearts feel good. It makes a difference to people who you'll never know, but know that their lives have been changed immeasurably. Secondly, we believe that we can do better in growing our economy. And so Jim Glassmen, who's going to come up and introduce our panelists here in a second, who is the founder of the founding executive director of the Bush Institute, the action-oriented place on the SMU campus, and I, as well as Amity Schlaze and others, decided we would assemble some of the finest minds in the country who share the sense of optimism that we have, that our private sector can grow at 4% if we put the right policies in place. My view is that we'll never fix the deficit without growing the private sector, that the balance sheet... And so therefore, you shouldn't take my word for it. You ought to take the word of people who are experts on the economy. And here's our product. And you're the first to see it. So we published a book, The 4% Solution. And Jim's going to introduce many of the folks, or the folks who are here who've written some of the chapters. And then Brendan Mentor, the very able editor of the book and who works with us at the Bush Center, will be conducting a panel. So if you'd please welcome Jim Glassmen, who is the founding executive director of the George W. Bush Institute and has led us nobly in our first 18 months of existence, and we're proud to have you here. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, President Bush. Panelists may come up. President Bush talked to you about what we're doing in Africa, and one of the ways to sum up what the Bush Institute does is advancing freedom. You can't be free if you're sick. You can't be free either if you live in a society ruled by dictators as the people of Iran or Syria or Cuba do. So with the Freedom Collection, we're showing dissidents and freedom advocates the way. We're freeing young minds with our education programs. We're helping to build the free institutions of civil society in the Middle East with our women's fellowships. And soon we'll be helping fighters for freedom, wounded warriors, and other veterans and their families through our military service initiative. Today, as the President said, is about economic freedom, which is the surest route to growth. As President Bush wrote in his foreword to the 4% solution, free market capitalism offers the most efficient and just way to order an economy. Such a system allows individuals to decide the course of their own lives. And this book does not exist in a vacuum. It's part of the 4% Growth Project, headed by Amity Shlaes. The project began at a conference at SMU in the spring of 2011. I know many of you were there. We hired top economists as fellows. We started a vigorous website. We held a second conference on tax policy in May in New York, and we've got an event scheduled in September in Chicago that will feature Governor Mitch Daniels. And like the project as a whole, this book seeks to focus Americans on growth as the solution to our economic problems, as the way to advance opportunity and prosperity. We're currently growing at 2%. That's not good enough. This book offers ways to get to 4%. And if we get to 4%, unemployment will plummet, and so will the burden of debt. And we hope that this book will become the focus of discussion about the economy during the election campaign and beyond. It's about growth and freedom. So today we're going to have a short discussion up here among three of the contributors to the book. I want to introduce first my good friend and former colleague, Kevin Hassett, who's Director of Economic Policy Studies at the American Enterprise Institute and formerly a senior economist at the Fed. He wrote a great chapter on the path to growth, focusing on spending, taxes, and certainty. Next, on the far end, Jason Fitchner, Senior Research Fellow at the Mercatus Center at George Mason University and former Chief Economist and Deputy Commissioner during President Bush's term of the Social Security Administration. And with Charles Blauhaus, he wrote a superb chapter on how Social Security should be reformed to encourage growth. And finally, as President Bush said, our own editorial director, Brenda Miniter, who edited this book. I just want to take the opportunity to thank contributors to the book who are here today, additional contributors who aren't on the panel but are here today. Pia Arrhenius of the Dallas Fed. Raise your hand, Pia. There she is. Who wrote about immigration. Richard Alm of SMU and Michael Cox of SMU. You both here? Yeah. Hi, Michael. As you can see, SMU is very important. In fact, Maria Meniti of SMU is not here today, I don't believe, also wrote a chapter for the book. And SMU is very, very important, as President Bush said, to the Bush Center. This is the Bush Institute's first book. It's the first of many, as you will soon see. And it's unusual in that it was published by a major trade publisher, Crown. And as a result, we'll get broad circulation. Many of you here are supporters of the Bush Center, and we thank all of you for making this book possible. And in a real sense, this book is literally yours, and you will get a copy of this book as you leave, a signed copy by President Bush. And we'll also be taking some questions from the floor, but I want to go to, are you guys comfortable here? Yeah, or you want to sit down?
What do you want to sit?
I like you better sitting.
You like us better sitting?
Yeah,
Okay.
I do.
Right.
So, Brendan, you did the impossible, which was to kind of wrangle, as we say in Texas, like 21 authors, many of whom are, I'm not talking about Kevin or Jason, but sort of temperamental types. Tell us a story about getting these people to write for us.
Oh, sure. You know,
this past fall, President Bush gave a speech at SMU campus where he noted the book, and he said, you know, we have 4 Nobel authors in the book. So I was in the audience, and I